Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video we are looking at GEV Vernova. This was a stock analysis request from one of the followers, and I wanted to let you know that anyone can make these requests and I will most likely cover them, especially if there is an actionable trade setup to follow. And on this chart we were tracking quite a few interpretations and all bullish. This is what I want you to focus on, not necessarily the interpretations, because based on the structure that has formed within this correction, I find all of them very unlikely to play out. While they didn't get invalidated by breaking the area of support of any of these interpretations, I don't necessarily find them likely scenarios anymore. But the main point is we are tracking a very bullish chart. This was a bullish chart even before we were looking still for further possible extensions higher, but we did notice how large this wave 5 was. It wasn't necessarily unusually large to the point that it couldn't be considered an initial wave 1 to the upside, but based on this correction and then still pushing higher, unless this is a larger ABC movement where we get an overshoot in a flat correction, I would have to pretty much remove all of these scenarios, because I can find scenarios that allow further extensions higher after this correction, but none of them would fit even close to well within the pattern that is right now here on the chart. So we are going to not focus on these scenarios for now until we get more clarity on what type of pattern is going here, because we can track continuation higher still within this area. It doesn't look complete and it looks like it may even be able to still form an impulse, in which case I want to bring out here on the chart a couple of different scenarios. So previously we were looking for a 5-wave move to the upside within an impulse to be formed where we had already the entire 5-wave move complete. Well, right now I can be tracking this movement to the upside still as a 5-wave structure, but within a diagonal structure, within a diagonal pattern, in which case I would be tracking here an ABC structure in the wave 1, ABC structure in the wave 3, and I would expect to form an ABC structure in the 5th wave to the upside. Now, what type of pattern, what type of move is built within this ABC structure in the 5th wave to the upside is still to be seen, because an A wave could be a diagonal structure, could be a 3-wave move, and it could be an impulse as well. Right now we are still in a move in a structure that allows all 3 interpretations to be built within this wave A to the upside, but I do still have one more scenario that could allow such a movement, although this would be a bit of probably one of the more unrealistic scenarios, because it would rely on the fact that we would have series of 1-2 setups in this area instead, where we would expect to form a very strong 3rd wave to the upside from these levels. We would expect this momentum to only pick up and get stronger as we push into a core wave 3, where we would have at least here 1, 2, 3, 4 1-2 setups, and we would expect to form here the 3rd wave right now. Now, that is one of the interpretations, because I could also argue that this is a series of 1-2 setups itself, but in the end, it doesn't really matter. The point is we would expect a very impulsive structure to be formed to the upside from this area. But the main point is we didn't get into the area of support within any of these interpretations. All of these interpretations, except maybe if we allow this to be a 1-2 setup itself, wouldn't have gotten us into the area of support within this retracement. Except for, again, the very bullish case of a series of 1-2 setups in this area as well, that would have allowed such a scenario. But right now we have to be very cautious that this could be still part of the correction and still take us lower, which is why I'm not necessarily advocating for an entry within this area. We don't have the reliability yet, and we need to find a more reliable structure that could allow such a pattern to develop, that could allow an impulse to be forming, or even a 3rd wave, if not the 5th wave in the white scenario. And in that case we need to move here into the smaller time frame and focus strictly on this structure to the upside. Actually, I do want to provide you before that the area of support for the potential wave 4 if we are to push back into it in the white scenario. In the case of a larger ABC movement, we would start looking for support here at the levels between the $474 level all the way down to the 61.8% retracement at the $266.7 level. So again, I am quite positive on this chart. The structure looks healthy enough still and could allow further extensions higher. However, we need to see a more clear 5-wave move to the upside to rule out any possibility of a fake out forming in this area that could take us back lower in a quite direct fashion. Yeah, keep in mind, we would expect a wave C to unfold in this area. It could be an impulse, it could be quite sharp, and we wouldn't necessarily need 2 high retracements. Yeah, and in that case, we can move now into the smaller time frame. Again, the first level of support on the large time frame in this interpretation would be at the $474 level. Now, in this area, unfortunately, we don't see clear impulse formed all along the way, but I do want you to keep in mind that this structure is on a very small time frame and it could have distortions which could allow an even more bullish interpretation. But right now, what I am tracking with the highest probability in this area is the idea of a large leading diagonal. In this case, this could be a 1-2 setup and then an ABC structure that could be expected to unfold within the wave tree to the upside. Yeah, this is one of the interpretations, but again, it is possible to track this as a series of 1-2 setups as well, in which case, yeah, we would need to be prepared for quite a bullish movement still to form. And we will be tracking this in a different color because, again, this could work out within both the large time frame green interpretation and white interpretation. And in this case, I would be tracking within this third wave to the upside still a further extension within this wave C. I am not really convinced that this pattern is yet complete, and within it I would probably consider that we have formed here a wave 1 up, a wave 2 down, a third wave up, and that we probably are still in the wave 4. I believe we may have an overshoot here in an ABC structure. Yeah, in that case we should be watching out still, possibly for further lows within this correction in a wave 4, as we would expect to very likely see a 5-wave move to the downside in this area, where, yeah, we are consolidating here at a very low level, and I would be watching out for support at the levels between the $700 all the way down to, this would be for an impulse, in which case we are looking for the 50% retracement only, but all the way down to the $673.5 level. So far, we have pushed into this internal wave tree to the downside perfectly into the 38.2% retracement at the $685 level, where we have found initial support. But as I was mentioning, if this is to form a 5-wave structure to the downside, I could see still further extensions lower. Yeah, we have here a 1, 2, 3, 4th and the 5th that could still be ongoing. The wave 4 could still be ongoing itself, but what we need to focus on is here the resistance levels, which are between the $692.3 all the way up to the $704.8 level. Now, I want you to keep in mind, while we do expect to form additional lows while we hold here below the 50% retracement, we don't need to. This correction could have completed even in this interpretation in a possible WXY. Yeah, we don't need to form any additional lows. We could form even a triangle here within the wave 4, but I would need here a break above the 50% retracement, the $705 level, for a signal that this correction, this movement to the downside is likely done. Otherwise, yeah, we should be prepared for one more low within this area of support, possibly into the larger 50% retracement. This is at least the ideal interpretation for me, and yeah, we will be tracking this in yellow because, again, in orange the correction could be complete. We could have the wave 4 bottom. In yellow we could see still one more leg down before forming a more significant bottom within this area. But since we have formed here a new all-time high, we have a possible overshoot, but it is also possible that this larger structure is complete and that we should be prepared for a larger retracement in the wave 4. Not a preferred interpretation for me. I still have quite a significant preference for another high overall. But if we are to break here the 50% retracement, I want you to be prepared for a deeper retracement into a much larger area of support that would start at the levels between the $690 and allows the retracement all the way down to the $630 level instead. Yeah, this is the ultimate level that would allow me to still track a potential 5-wave move to the upside within this area, where if we break below the 61.8% retracement, it would have significant meaning here on the larger time frame, where we should be prepared for a deeper retracement, for a fake out to have been formed in this area and head back into the area of support for a reset within these larger corrections. And for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe and let me know what else you want me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.